I'm Terry Lynn Frazier. Welcome to Homestyle Southern Cooking. We're on location today at JJ's Wood Fire Pizza. Not only are we going to make some delicious pizza, we're also going to meet Dr. Jack Sperlin, Vice President of Lifelong Learning and Dean of Technology at MSSU until he retired in 2007. What are we waiting on? Let's get started. Come on. Hey y'all, welcome to Homestyle Southern Cooking, where we get cooking with some of Missouri Southern's finest and brightest. Today, we've got JJ Sperlin as our first guest. JJ is a professor in the Criminal Justice Department here in Southern, and also the owner of JJ's Wood Fire Pizza. We're going to get to know a little bit about JJ today. Hey JJ.
Hey, how you doing?
How are you?
Good, real good.
Okay, so we're going to go back a little. I've heard some interviews with you, and everybody gets right to the meat of today. Well, I want to go back a little. So, you were named after your dad, right?
I was.
Even though your name is JJ Sperlin, it's actually...
It's actually Jack J. Sperlin, and do that. And then it was a matter, he was my soccer coach and everything growing up. So it became Big Jack, Little Jack. Well, now I'm big just because of stature, and it got confusing. And so we went back to my nickname, which was JJ, and about 20 years ago, and that's what stuck since. And so everybody knows me as JJ, which is still stumps some people when I have old friends come in and say Jack, and then heads still spin around towards my dad, knew that when they're really talking about me.
Well, what's the second J from?
Joseph, my middle name.
Jack Joseph Sperlin.
That's it.
It's nice.
Thanks.
Okay, so you grew up in the Joplin area, is that correct?
Grew up in Fort Dodge. We got to the Joplin area by third grade, so I'd say predominantly growing up in the Joplin area.
Where did you choose to go to college?
I actually did right here at Missouri Southern, homegrown right here in criminal justice. Went through here and got my bachelor's degree here, actually.
Now, what was your first job?
Child abuse investigator for the state of Missouri. It was a interesting deal. I was headed to be a law enforcement officer in Tulsa Police Department, and prior to getting out of here, they'd brought in a child at St. John's. I was 2 weeks out from finishing up my bachelor's degree, and they'd brought in a child who had been beaten to death, and it was one of them surreal moments I remember, and just went home and told my dad that I actually wanted to go do investigations. So he said that I could. He put me in a little house. I stayed in a little house behind my mom and dad while I went through college. I won't get in any stories from there, but it was a fun venture. And after that, I went to DMH, and I did investigations for DMH, and I worked on a behavior resource team out there. Then I went back into asset protection and went to work for my friend Kenny Copeland, who's the undersheriff now of Newton County. He's actually in head of Precious Moments, and I went and did some asset protection for him. And then Missouri Southern had a position come open, and ideally, I'd always seen how well it worked out for my father, so I always kind of had teaching in my heart, and found my way back to Missouri Southern in '97, and been here since.
So that's a little over 18 years you've been here.
That's a long time, isn't it? It is.
It seems like it, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious, and I've been curious about this since I started watching some interviews with you. I know that you teach in the Criminal Justice Department, but asset protection, I don't understand what asset protection is. Could you explain that to me?
Sure. Asset protection is kind of law enforcement, but it's run by the private sector. So Walmart and Lowe's and Home Depot and all these big box companies, they also want police not only outside, but they want police inside, to help mitigate, if you will, their culpabilities from internal theft to external theft to slip and fall to hazardous materials to everything that you'd have to be concerned with.
So when you're at Walmart and you see that guy scoping behind you, making sure you didn't steal anything, that's a part of asset protection.
Well, that is a part. Yep, that's a part when they're looking at for the external theft. Yep,
Not that anybody follows me around Walmart. Okay.
No, you little paranoid.
Okay, so I'm also curious. I've heard you say in other interviews, and before, I've just heard you say this, you have an entrepreneurial spirit. I didn't say that right. Entrepreneurial?
Well, it's close enough. Yeah.
I heard you say you have a spirit like that.
Sure.
Can you explain that?
I think it's just kind of in my heart, as I've always wanted to have my own business, run my own business, and go that way. And I think that's what that encompasses. You know, when JJ's get started, I don't want to steal any thunder from you, but I got to hand select my first 10 employees. There aren't many companies that do that, especially in this type of industry.
That's correct.
You know, and so it was a recipe for success. I always make a loose joke that it's an experiment that went horribly right.
Well, that's a great segue into my next question. I'm
All
curious. I want you to tell me the story of how JJ's Wood Fire Pizza got started.
How JJ's Wood Fire Pizza got started. It was, I'm an opportunist, and my little daughter had a ear infection. I was over at May's drugstore, and a lot of what I've done as my entrepreneur, also I do a lot of buying and selling, you know. So if you have Joplin Give and Take or any give and take for an 80-mile radius, you're likely to see me on there and do that.
I see you on there all the time.
You do? Well, you do. And I saw an opportunity of what a restaurant had been there before, and that to go in and, of course, liberate them out of their contents, and I just wanted to resell it is what I wanted to do. But just for fun, I made a call to the landlord of the place after I had bought the contents for pennies on the dollar, and said, what do you get for rent? And he told me, and I kind of said, I can't pay that. I can pay half of that. And they said, we'll go ahead and do it for that. And I said, I'm not signing any contract. I'm not doing. So everything that you know, people say that they're locked in so long and everything else, I did, and it just went right. And then it was one of them deals where reality kicked me in the face, and it said, now here we are. And so it was thrown together. I was in business. I went home and I told my mom, told my dad, we're in business, you know, that's it. And they just so happened to have retired similarly by the same time. And we'd always flirted about that at the table when I was a little kid. And then I just came up with my plan real quick. I went to the Business Development Center here at Missouri Southern, which is a wonderful resource.
It is.
Give them a plug right there.
It is a great group.
Yeah, they are a great group. And because there's a lot that you don't know. I mean, you know, everybody wants to have a restaurant. Not everybody, but a lot of people want to have a restaurant. They want to do that. You know, they've always flirted around with it. And then the reality kicks in on how much there is to get it started.
It's not easy.
It isn't easy. And then I got, then what I did is I picked my 10 smartest college kids, and I said, we're in business. And we had little meetings and kind of spearheaded it all together.
And you bought this material, this merchandise in October, correct? And then you
Yes.
opened by January.
Opened by January.
That's pretty fast turnaround.
It is fast turnaround. Yeah. It was in somewhat disarray, and we had to get a bunch of licenses together and what have you, and learn some stuff, and that was a fast turnaround. You know, I could have actually done it faster, but I wanted to make sure it was right by the time we opened.
Well, all this talk about pizzas got me hungry. I think we should go meet your dad and make a pizza.
All right,
All
let's go meet Dad.
So, Dr. Sperling, do you like to be called Dr. Sperling or Jack?
Jack's fine.
Jack's fine.
Yep.
Okay, what are we going to do here today?
We're going to make a pizza.
What kind of pizza?
Whatever kind you want me to make. Do you have a favorite?
Well, I like meat pizzas.
Well, then let's make what we call our Neanderthal, which is an all-meat pizza.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Start with the crust.
Now, do you guys pre-make your crust?
Our crusts are pre-made. We buy them pre-made.
Oh, nice.
We make our own sauce. The sauce is from scratch.
I like that thick sauce on there.
It is good. We use the same sauce for all of our pasta dishes, and people, believe it or not, come to our buffet just to eat pasta, not even pizza sometimes.
Well, I hear you have one of the best buffets around.
It is a great buffet. We feature all the pizza you can eat, all the salad you can eat. We always have a hot dish of some kind. All of our hot dishes are homemade, fresh every day. Some of our favorite hot dishes are our stroganoff, our vegetable pasta, our goulash we had today, and it was gone by probably 12:30. The pan was empty. And then our famous chocolate chip cookies. So Neanderthal, you start with the cheese base, and then we put all of our meats on it.
Okay. So where'd you learn to make pizzas?
Believe it or not, when I was 16 years old, I went to work in a pizza place called Vic's Pizza Palace in Fort Dodge, Iowa. And I never realized that after going to school for about 10 years and getting a PhD that I'd end up back making pizzas.
Who would have thunk it, huh?
And who would have ever thought it? But my son wanted to open a business, and he needed help, and I wasn't doing much building birdhouses and benches in my workshop.
Not reading or riding that Harley?
And I sold my Harley and bought a BMW.
Ooh, nice. You might have to take me for a ride.
It's a pretty nice little car. So there's the Canadian bacon, pepperoni. That was just the beef I put on. This is our Italian sausage.
It looks yummy already.
And then our Neanderthal is topped with wheel bacon and cheddar cheese. As you can see, we put a lot of toppings on our pizza. We think that's one of the reasons people come back is the quality. They know they're going to get a good pizza here. We don't put single topping pizzas out on the buffet and nothing else. We put all of our special pizzas out on the buffet, and we make any pizza that anybody requests during the buffet. So we have a lot of people that'll come in and request a chicken bacon ranch or some specialty pizza, and we always make them for them.
Well, nice.
All right.
It looks yummy. I can't wait.
Next thing you do is you put it in the oven. Our oven cooks. We like to cook at about 550 degrees.
550 degrees.
About 550. You can see it's all wood fire.
Mm-hmm.
That's what gives the crispness to the pizza and that wood flavor to it.
Now, how long is that going to cook in there?
Well, at 550 it takes about 4.5 to 5 minutes is what
Not
it
very
takes.
long.
No, not long at all. That's why we like that. It helps us with the buffet to keep plenty of pizzas out and that sort of thing. We can cook. We've cooked as high as 700. The problem when you get that high is your bottom sometimes will get too done compared to your top. So we found that about 550 is the best temperature, the ideal temperature to cook pizzas.
Very good. Well, when this is done, why don't we come out here and have some
All
and
right,
chat it up?
all right, we'll do it.
All right,
all right.
thank you, sir.
Yep.
Now, you're not just a pizza chef. You have a pretty rich history at Southern.
Well, I spent 34 years at Missouri Southern. I started off as a faculty member in the Criminal Justice Department. I later became the Dean of the School of Technology, and then my last 10 years I was the Vice President for Lifelong Learning for the Distance Education Program.
Very good. Now, what brought you to Southern in 1975?
Well, I had been a law enforcement officer and had spent some time in Washington, D.C. with the DIA and was just ready for something different. And I'd gotten a bachelor's degree, and at that time Missouri Southern only had an associate degree in law enforcement, and it gave me an opportunity to come down and teach in their 2-year program.
Very nice. Now, I've been doing a little research about you, and Dr. Jerry Williams credits you as the one that led Missouri Southern into the delivery of courses and degrees through the internet. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Well, our president at that time was Dr. Julio Leon, and he was a visionary, and he knew that things were going to change in higher education. And I had gotten all of my degrees by commuting. I went to Central Missouri State University for weekend college. I drove to Stillwater, Oklahoma 2 nights a week for my doctorate degree. And so I was very interested in a different delivery method where people weren't on the highway. And he and I started talking about the use of internet for education. And it was being done some places, but not very much. And I had some ideas, and he finally decided that he wanted to see what Missouri Southern could do. And so he decided he wanted to make a vice president's position so that it'd be someone who had authority and could carry this mission out. And it just started at that point in time.
Well, I know that when you retired, there was about 700 students in the distant learning program. It's grown quite a bit since then.
I don't know. I don't really keep much track anymore now that I'm gone.
Because you're retired. You're like, that's behind me. Well, can you tell me a little bit about your decision to retire in 2007?
Well, I had been there for, as I say, 33 years. I had 4 years of military time, which you can buy towards your retirement, and years of sick leave, so I had 38 years in the system. I could retire at pretty close to the same money that I was making. First year I wanted to retire, I was 60, and Dr. Leon talked me out of it. The second year, when I went in, he talked me out of it, except he offered me if I would stay on in kind of a consulting position. And so I did. I worked 2 years, about 15 hours a week to help the program continue in its growth pattern. And I was just ready to do something different at that point in time. And so I officially retired in 2009.
Officially in 2009. Well, I had read an article about your retirement that said you were going to spend your retirement learning to cook, read, and ride your Harley. What of those have you done other than become a pizza chef?
Well, I love to cook, always have, and so I do a lot of cooking. As a matter of fact, I do all the cooking at my house and most of the cooking at this place. I rode my Harley for about 3 years after I retired, and then I traded it for a BMW Z4. I wanted 4 wheels under me, and I read all of the time. I love to read.
Very good. Okay, so we have a few different questions here. How did you end up making pizzas?
Well, my son JJ, who is a full-time faculty at Missouri Southern, always wanted to have a sports bar / pizza restaurant. This one became available, and he started talking about getting it, and I could see that he was going to need help, and so I told him I would help him get started, and that's been 3 years ago.
So you're still helping, huh? Now, when you retired and you had talked about taking these advanced cooking classes, did you really see yourself being a pizza chef?
Well, it's what's kind of funny about life is when I was 16 years old, I started working in a pizza place back in high school. And here I am in my late 60s, and life seems to have gone full circle for me.
From pizza to pizza.
Pizza.
Okay, so we're going to turn this around. I want to ask you a fun question. I want you to tell me something fun about yourself that most people don't know. Put you on the spot.
You did put me on the spot. I think there's a lot of fun things about me. I love to play poker. I play poker at least 1 day a week down at the Downstream Casino. And that's probably my biggest hobby now. If I get a chance, I play 2 days a week.
Are you pretty good at it?
I'm not bad. I hold my own at it. If you don't hold your own, you can't keep playing because you run out of money.
Maybe you can teach me because I always lose my money. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today, and I think we need to eat this pizza.
We do.
Wow, that was fun. I've never been to your pizzeria before.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard the wood fire pizza's great, but that was amazing.
We hear that a lot.
I'm sure you do.
We do.
Okay, so I'm going to turn our interview around here.
Okay.
Talk about some fun stuff.
All right.
You are very community active.
I am.
I saw this for the first time at Halloween when I saw that you donated 1,000 pizzas to the community. Like, that really blew me away.
It did?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you do stuff like that often?
All the time. All the time.
Tell me about your community activity.
I've done pretty well in life, and I don't need JJ's wood fire at the end of the day. You know, I made a commitment that everything that it brings in, that I'm going to try to tie back into the community and do that in one way or another. I've always had that kind of given heart, and I do that. It's just not for JJ's wood fires, for my classes too. I mean, if you come to my victims class, we had a great group project where we had to collect, and it was just around Christmas time, and brought a big group of stuff over to Children's Haven, you know, and with Children's Center, and, you know, I mean, social work is honestly my background, you know, and so I found a way to tie criminal justice and social work together. And so I'm just, I love giving back to the community I serve, because ultimately they serve me as well.
I think I love you a little more.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
That's beautiful.
Okay.
That's very beautiful. Okay, so we don't shed some tears about how great that was.
I'm going to drink some water.
Okay, so the 417 magazine featured JJ's Wood Fire Pizza.
They did. That was a surprise. That was nice.
Yeah, they rated you one of the best pizza places around, and they suggested trying the Big Easy Pizza.
Nice.
Can you tell me about that pizza?
Yeah, the Big Easy Pizza. I mean, it's a smoked sausage base. Then it has our Cajun spices on it, and jalapenos and onions.
Now, you make a lot of unique pizzas like that.
We do.
What are some other unique pizzas?
You know, we make a chili dog pizza with chili that my dad makes from scratch. We make a meatball pizza that just came out this last week that is absolutely fascinating. And then probably the creme de la creme of the pizzas we make that people really love is our smoked brisket or our smoked pork loin. And we smoke them with different kinds of woods, and then put them in our barbecue sauce, and then we actually make a pizza out of it. So it's not the typical barbecue chicken pizza that you get at many places. I mean, you're having a smoked brisket or a smoked pork loin pizza, and they're a big hit.
So I saw you on Facebook the other day mention that you want to buy morel mushrooms, you know, on one of these buy and trade sites.
Right.
So what are you going to do with these?
Well, I'm going to eat as many of them as I possibly can and do that. Me and my dad love morel
Are you
mushrooms
going
and
to
do
make
that.
some morel pizzas?
We're making morel pizzas. We're playing with it right now. You know, morels are just a short season of what it is, and you either know them or you don't know them.
Yeah.
You know, and around here, that's kind of a neat little deal that we're playing with now.
I love morels. I'm
Do you
from
love morels?
Michigan, and
Oh, nice.
hunting morels is a big deal there.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, when I saw that,
Michigan,
I was like,
Iowa, where I'm from, they're just calling today, and we've been morels about 10 days now. In Iowa, they're just coming up today. So probably Michigan's probably the same. They're just
Yeah.
right now starting because they're a week and a half, 2 weeks behind in seasons.
yeah.
and
Well,
do
it's
that.
really cold there still. It's still snowing.
Oh yeah, well then morels may be even further behind than that.
Yeah. Okay, so lastly, I just want to share with you some research I did on the internet. I found a site called, well, I'm not going to say the site, but it's a Rate My Professor site.
All right.
So you have a pretty good rating. You have a 4.3 out of 5.
Okay.
So that's good. You're
right.
almost perfect, but not quite.
All right.
Okay. I'm going to read you some of these quotes.
All right.
Okay. So if you, JC 101 says, if you take the class, show up, he gives extra credit practically every day. This is true.
That is true.
So
that is
show
true.
up
Yep.
to his class.
You know, I don't mandate attendance, but I think it's an important thing to be there. So I'll reward it accordingly.
I like that. Okay, CJAD 320 said, JJ is a great professor, very smart, and is always willing to help. Come to class because attendance helps you make the grade. He does not like to show videos. He does like to show videos and encourages class discussion. Don't put off chapter questions.
Don't put them off.
Don't put them off.
No, don't put them off.
He will not let you make them up. Okay, and the last one. This is my favorite.
All right.
ACJAD said, I am hot for teacher. Do you get that a lot?
No.
I don't believe that.
No, I don't get that a lot.
Well, thank you so much for coming and joining me
Well,
today.
thanks for having me.
I loved having you here.
Well,
and
I love being here.
Love your pizza.
Thanks. Yeah, it looks like you have the Neanderthal, which is one of my favorite pizzas too.
It's my only so far, and it's my favorite so far.
Thanks.
So you guys go to JJ's Woodfire Pizza and try some of this. You'll see I'm right. It is the best. And we'll see you next for our next segment in the kitchen. Hi y'all, welcome back to Homestyle Southern Cooking. Welcome to my kitchen. The purpose of this segment is to show dorm students how to cook satisfying and delicious recipes in a crock pot, which is a dorm-approved cooking appliance. All right, well, let's get started. So today what I'm going to teach you guys how to make is a crock pot pizza. Now it's not going to be anywhere near good as JJ's Woodfire Pizza, but we can't always get to JJ's, especially when finals are coming and we have to study. So what we have here is a refrigerated dough pizza, which I flattened out, and now we're going to put it in the bottom of the crock pot, which we have already sprayed with a good portion of some kind of Crisco. So now I'm going to spread this in here to the edges. And now the thinner you can make it, the better, because it is going to thicken up as you go. So I'm spreading this in here, getting it to my edges. Now our second step is we're going to put our sauce in here, so we just dump that. Now it's a very simple recipe. It's really just about building it. So I'm putting this in here with my handy tool, and now I'm going to put some cheese on. So the part of this that's unique for you is you can put whatever you want, whatever kind of ingredients. So I'm going to try to make this like JJ's Neanderthal though. So I'm going to put ham. Let's see, some ham. I got bacon here. All right. Gotta love the bacon. I got some hamburger meat. Got some Italian sausage. Now see, it's so easy. I'm just dumping this stuff in here. It doesn't get any easier than that. Okay, so my pepperonis. It's almost like I'm layering this stuff. I love it. It's going to be so thick when it's done. And it really only takes a short amount of time. Now, the thing about this, I have made this and I've made the mistake, so I've learned from it. You can't just set this and go like a lot of crock pot recipes. You have to be there. It only takes about an hour and a half to cook. If you let it go too long, it's going to burn. After an hour and a half, you're going to turn this right off and open the lid, let it sit there for half an hour. And so the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my second layer of cheese because I like a lot of cheese. I'm cheesy. And that's that. So now I'm going to close it up. And in an hour and a half, on high, it will be done. And then a half hour later, we can eat it. So join us in the dining room next as we try out this yummy pizza.
Well, hey, Miss Terry, I brought you some carrots.
Hey, what are these?
Baby carrots.
Am I supposed to believe that my carrots right here gave birth to these carrots right here? And no. All those perfect looking fruits and vegetables that you like to buy, they are covered in chemicals, dyes, and preservatives. They are not good for you. Haven't you ever heard of the ugly fruit and vegetable movement? I mean, look it up.
What in the world is that?
In America, it's called the Imperfectly Delicious program, and in Europe, they call it the Inglorious Fruit and Vegetable movement. You gotta look it up.
Okay, I will, but I still don't get what exactly it is.
What's not to get? Ugly fruit and vegetables are more natural. They taste better than the processed stuff, and girl, they're healthier on your wallet. Some local produce grocers and your farmers markets will sell it to you for cheaper. You just gotta ask about the ugly stuff. When it comes to fruits and vegetables, ugly is beautiful. So do yourself a favor and go ugly today. Okay, here we are back in the dining room. I'm joined with my producer, Tawny Lyon. How are you today?
I'm doing great, even better now that I see this pizza.
You want to try it?
Of course.
You got to tell me how good it is, or how bad.
Oh, I'm sure it's delicious. Oh my goodness.
It is good.
That is really good.
I can't believe we did that in a crock pot.
And it's so fast too.
Mm-hmm. An hour and a half,
That's
2 hours.
That's really not that bad, especially for a crock pot.
So how do you think it compares to JJ's wood fire pizza?
Well, I don't think anything can compare to JJ's wood fire pizza. But for something so quick and so convenient, it's really good.
What do you think of JJ's dad?
He was so adorable.
He was really nice, wasn't he?
He was so sweet and so knowledgeable. They both really were.
Yeah, JJ too. He was a talker now, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I was so grateful.
He's so nice too. He's really nice.
Yeah, I'm excited. I wonder who's going to be our next guest.
I don't know. I'll have to find out.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us for our pilot episode of Homestyle Southern Cookin'. I want you to go to our Facebook page at Homestyle Southern Cookin' and like us. Tell us what you thought about this show for your chance to win a swag bag and your own crock pot. Now, if you've already liked our page, go ahead and tell us what you thought about the show for your chance to enter. All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. Bye, y'all.